I swear, it doesn't matter how often I hear those titles, man. It always puts a smile on my face. Seriously.
I didn't know you guys had an intro. That's dope.
See, man, we're ahead. Well, I was going to say we're ahead of the time. It's not really. It's Jet does all this for us. Guys, thank you so much. Hello to our audience. It's already going off. I don't know if you guys can see. We're already close to 10 people already viewing. Bricks, somebody from your fandom rather than Jet's fandom has tagged even before we went live. Marvs, hey Marvs has gone in.
Hey Marvs.
Hey Marvs.
But I don't know if that's yes because we're live, or yes it's Wednesday, or yes he's having a beer, or maybe it's something else anyway. But Marvs, thanks very much for your support, mate. Really appreciate it. Guys, listen, we are super excited to have a guest join us today. Leandro, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you? I think we're all super excited and super stoked to have you on, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm actually kind of nervous because this is the first time I'm going live. Usually, so I host a podcast called Uni-Pop where we talk about all things pop culture. So we release that on Spotify week to week. So it's not live. So this is the first time I'm going live anywhere. But yeah, so I'm Leandro, the host of Uni-Pop. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Excellent, Leandro. Thanks very much for joining, mate. We're really excited. And can I just say thank you so much for the episode we recorded on Saturday. I may have had a few San Migs down me, mate, but I loved it. I thought it was only going to be 15 minutes, but an hour or so later we were still chatting away, and I think we could have carried on for a good hour or so afterwards. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right, to our resident geeks, Crix, how are you?
Fine. Really happy for this episode because finally I have someone who has the same fandom and at the same time maybe at my same age, I think. I don't know, but I don't want to ask, but I'm sorry, guys.
You can ask. I don't mind.
Wait, hang on. So, Jet, is Crick saying that you and me are of the same age?
Well, just not far off from there. We have to admit it. We are almost the same age.
I don't know if I should be flattered or if you should be offended, mate, by Crick's comments, to be honest.
I'm sorry, but this is the first time I talked to someone who is into Funko and to Star Wars as well, because I know that both of you guys are into Star Trek, and really excited that excited that Leandro will talk about music, and we have someone who is also in the podcast industry. So really happy to have you, Leandro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Paul. I'm sorry, Jed.
Wait, I think Crix is crushing here a little bit, Jet. No, I think we've lost.
No. Seriously, guy.
All right, no worries. Cool. All right, let's go to Jet. My man, how you doing? Quick question though, mate. Are you wearing the baseball cap because of lockdown hair, or is it because you think you look cool?
I'm wearing the baseball cap because my hair looks like a creature from Star Trek.
Fair enough. How's your week been, mate? You been all right?
Yeah, it's been all right.
Excellent. All right, so let's crack on today. Oh, look who it is. Bonner.
Hey, Bonner.
Hey, Bonner. Thanks for joining, mate. Oh, he's always here, Bonner. Love him.
Yeah, he has an ice cream for us that he's going to reveal. That's Star Trek inspired.
Excellent.
Wow.
Okay.
He has it's a surprise, so some other day.
I think,
Nice.
Chris, you should now look at ice creams that you and Leonardo can work with on, like Kung Fu Pop or something like Star Wars inspired, right? Something like that.
Maybe. Or it's Funko Pop, Paul, not Kung Fu Pop.
Listen,
Is it going to be like Jackie Chan? Or
I'm running on about 4 hours sleep over not just one day, but over like 2 or 3 days. So bear with me.
Understood.
You don't look like a dribble, Jet. Well, that's up for debate. Okay, let's crack on. So today's show, we're going to talk about bands.
Oh my god.
Bands that have let us down, right? And any way that they've let us down, whether that's by releasing a poor second song, a poor second album, any album, or they've done something that has just dropped your level of enthusiasm as a fan away from them, right? Where you've just gone, I've invested a number of years of my life here, and you're just not going down the same track. You've really kind of you've lost me as a fan. No, maybe not lost me, but certainly turned my my passion off you a little bit. All right, so Crix, you want to go first?
I think we should have Leandro first because he's
I
our
agree.
guest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
Leandro, go for it, mate. Let's kick us off. Where are you going first, mate?
Where do I begin? Got a couple of bands and albums that I would like to say, but I think we can start off with one of my favorite bands of all time. So I'm a huge fan of Guns N' Roses. So I grew up. I think a lot of my family members on my mom's side are very big Guns N' Roses fans. So I kind of got hooked on the band. So around that time, you know, the I guess around that time it was coming up to the release of Chinese Democracy, which is a legendary album in the sense that it was in the developmental hell for like a decade plus. So, and you know the history of Guns N' Roses is like, you know, all the original members like Slash, Duff McKagan, Izzy Stradlin, all
Izzy
left,
Stradlin,
and
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, the only one that was left there in the original lineup was Axl Rose. So, for him to release Chinese Democracy without all of the original members, there in itself is a big letdown for me. But even listening to the whole album itself, when I remember it released in 2008, I think I was in high school at the time, and I was eagerly anticipating it because, of course, big fan of Appetite for Destruction, Use Your Illusion, and whatnot. And when I listened to it, it was just different. It wasn't the same without Slash. It wasn't the same without Duff. You know.
You were about to swear then, weren't you? You're about to say.
Yeah, it's so hard. I'm sorry, guys. It's so hard not to swear.
Go for it. Go for it. It was shit. Right? It was shit.
It was shit. It was. Oh fuck, man.
No, it's fine. Go for it. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
It was so bad. I mean, Chinese Democracy, the title track was okay, but everything else. And I talked to Paul about this in our recording for our Oasis ep. I'm the kind of guy who listens to an album start to finish, right? So, listening to Chinese Democracy top to bottom, it just wasn't. I didn't have like that feeling I had when I listened to like Abbey Road or What's the Story, Morning Glory, and whatnot. So, and comparing it to Appetite for Destruction and Use Your Illusion, no contest, man. Chinese Democracy sucked so bad.
There we go. I love your passion over it, mate. To be fair, you're not only passionate about when they do good things, you're probably equally, if not more, passionate about when a band lets you down, and that comes through. So, kudos, mate. Great, man. How did you? I guess you know. So, 2008, you were in high school. Jesus Christ,
We were already working together, Paul.
Right? I know. How did that make you? How did that make you feel, mate? Did you just go, "Oh, I'm not going to buy any more," or did you? I know, don't.
Well, I mean,
did you still persevere with it?
It didn't stop me listening to Guns N' Roses, but I guess at that point I was just listening to the old stuff, the great stuff, you know.
Isn't it there's like a lawsuit against Axl Rose slashing or the rest of the band against Axl Rose using the Guns N' Roses name?
I think at the time, yeah, but now they're okay because I think a few years ago, I think it was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
The concert here in the Philippines.
Yeah, the whole band got back together. No.
Yeah, for a tour. Yeah, they got back together for a tour.
And the name of that tour was called Not in This Lifetime. So just a fun fact for you guys. Not in This Lifetime, that was the name of the tour because that's what Axl said if there was ever going to be a reunion for the original members of Guns N' Roses. He said, "Not in this lifetime." And then they made it the title of their tour when they did actually reunite. So, yeah. Good stuff.
Wow. So you know that's also a story about a James Bond film. How they got the title. Do you know which James Bond film? Nothing to do with Guns N' Roses. Go on.
Was it? Oh, I think it was
Live and
Let Die. Was it?
There you go.
No, it was
because Guns N' Roses did a cover of that.
Yeah. So Guns N' Roses did the theme song, but what I meant about was the title of the band the title of the tour, that it was called Never in My Lifetime, right? or something like that. Sean Connery was, after he gave up James Bond, said,
Is it never?
yes.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, with Kim Basinger. Oh.
Yeah, never say never again. So it's a similar story where Sean Connery said, I'm not going to do it. But there we go. Cool. All right. Great. Love that one. Let's come to you.
Yeah, first one on my list that will be well, The Darkness. So I've been an MTV.
Go on.
I've been watching MTV for like 2004 2005, and it was like free TV here in the Philippines. So I was a fan of the glam rock persona of Justin Hawkins, and it was really cool by that time. And if you're listening to the falsetto, it was like really used into movies back then. It was used in Bridget Jones. It was used on different chick flicks. So it was really iconic when they released the first album. However, when they released One Way Ticket to Hell and Back, they did try to replicate the magic. However, it was it fell flat. Following Justin Hawkins rehab and all, it didn't give them much of a magic after the first album. So was really disappointed after that. Though the glam is still there, but listening to it, I just can take it because the first one gave you the happiness that you want as Mary Kondo. It did give me joy, right? But second album was felt really bland for me. So yeah, The Darkness, One Way Ticket to Hell and Back really sucked. Kasi
That was actually on my list, Chris. But I'm very glad that you mentioned it because I didn't want to ruin too much of my street cred, although I don't have any anyway. So thank you very much. Leandro, Vito's come in with U2's October album was such a disappointing sophomore effort after their stellar debut, in my opinion. Vito knows his stuff, no?
He does. Shout out Vito. You should have went on live here.
I know, we need to get him on. If he's free, send him over the link, mate. He can join us. Right, Jet. Guys, I'm gonna have to drop. I'm having some technical challenges, but Jet, you crack on, mate, and then I'll join back in. Go for it.
Well, the first one you need to hear this, Paul, because it's Stone Roses since you've left. So it's Stone Roses. The first album I played it in I cannot play it in a loop because it was on a cassette tape. That's how old I am. It was in a cassette tape and then eventually a CD format. But I played it in the loop, and I was really looking forward to the second album because I really loved the first album. Our mates then in school, we were talking about it. We were sharing it, and we were making other people listen to it. The first album, and so we were just really looking forward to the second album. And when the second album came out, it was such a huge disappointment because it came out after like 4 years from the debut album. And it's it was like I waited 4 years for this. Like I've heard this before. It was a big disappointment in terms of the hype did not carry on, or I don't know what changed in their in their music making process in that 4 years. Definitely a lot of things have probably changed because it was 4 years. So
Sophomore slump is real, man. It's real.
Yeah, and it tends
to happen to the best.
Yep, I agree. And 4 years, music has evolved then, and they kind of like stayed in there. So they were not able to really fulfill the sophomore syndrome. Paul, I went with Stone Roses. I know you like Stone Roses.
Yeah, it's a great debut album, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's great.
It's one of the best ever debut albums, but they, in my opinion, they waited too long between the first and second album to if they'd have done something sooner. And we were talking about this on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
If they'd have done something sooner between the first and the second album, they would have been off the charts, right?
Yep. Yeah. They could have released like an EP or a single or something like that, but no, they waited 4 years.
What
So-
year did
so-
that album come out?
What year did 94? I think,
94.
or 98.
Oh,
I can't remember. Let me see. Let me
Let me
check
just
that.
Google it for you.
Let's just Google it.
Yeah.
Guys, for some reason, I don't know what's going on with my screen, but I can't see any of you guys. It's all
1994.
green.
94.
Wow.
Mhm.
You can't see us?
No, it's all green for some reason. I don't know. It's like you're
Chance.
all on green. You could all be, giving me abuse right now, and I won't be able to see it.
You'll
Right.
see it when this episode's done, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. And actually, that reminds me, to anybody that does watch us on the replays, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, your Friday, your Thursday, or even your weekend to tune into our little live stream. It really does mean the world to us, and we're really, really thankful for all the support. We've had so many comments today. Honestly, the comments box is going off the charts. Okay. Jet, I'll go next, mate, if that's all right. But before we do that, we do have a couple of comments here. We've got one here from Ralph, who's saying,
Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Miss
Hi,
Paula.
Miss Paula. Hi, Ralph. He's the he's the admin of a Transformers group here in the Philippines. So if you need anything about robots, mechas, just ask Ralph.
Oh, when you said Transformers, I thought you were talking about batteries, but you're not. You're right.
No, I'm talking about Autobots and Decepticons. So
no.
yeah. Hi, Ralph.
Jet, mate, I've got to say, while DM has commented, so DM has said, looks like we've got a new member of the group. Indeed we do, DM. Indeed we do. Jet, it looks like Crix's fandom is taken off, mate, because look, you've got one there from Ralph, we had one from Marv's, and now we've got this one here from Angus.
Who's that?
Look
Oh,
at that.
hi, Angus. Yeah, wow. You really have to check Angus because he used to be on a band, so he discovers a lot of meme bands. So yeah,
I'm
really
not
good
really-
input out there. Yeah.
So Agnes says, mine is Metallica's Saint Anger. I'm a huge Metallica fan. I really hate that album. The sound of the drums and there is no guitar solos. Fair comment, mate. Fair comment. Okay, I'll go next in terms of which bands let me down or which albums. And there's one that really stands out for me, but I'll leave that till kind of maybe later in today's live stream. I want to talk about an album, right? I want to talk about an album that really, really had a huge impact on me when I was growing up. So I've never, and I, to this day, Jet knows me very well to know I will never be one of the cool kids, right? I'll never be one of the cool kids, right? When I went to high school, I was listening to Walkman on with the orange foam. This is kind of how geekish I was, right? But I was listening to a band called the Pasadenas, which you guys will never have heard of, right? And that's absolutely fine because they don't warrant anybody to listen to them. But in my attempt to try to break into the cool kids area, I started to listen to a little bit of, it's not heavy rock, but it was they used to call it American orientated rock. So the likes of Poison, Europe, those type of bands, right? And the first album that I really got into of that kind of genre was by Bon Jovi. You guys have all heard of Bon Jovi, right?
Is it like the Glamazon hair rock, hairspray bands you're talking about?
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Glam metal, yeah.
Did you have the same hair?
No, dude. Dude, look at my hair, man.
I can imagine.
My hair just grows thick. That's it. It doesn't grow long. It just grows thick and really, really curly, right? So the first album that I really got into, so I got into Kiss. I was a huge Kiss fan. And then I got into Bon Jovi, right? So the Bon Jovi album now, Slippery When Wet. So one of their first albums.
Mm-hmm.
The first 5 or 6 songs of that album are absolutely stunning. Amazing. Absolutely amazing in terms of pure quality and pure songs that just hit you and stay with you for life. The remaining part of that album is possibly one of the second halves of of albums in all time, and I felt disappointed when I was listening to the album after the introduction. So There we go. Right. Yes. So Vic, where's Vic? Vic. So I know Vic, right? Vic's a great friend of mine. He's a wonderful chef, guys. So
si Ras, di ba
if you're ever in kind of
tinatanong kasi ni Sir Wins kung meron na daw
what's that in the background?
na na-raise for Ras.
Who's that? Who's that?
PRFS.
Parang request or requisition.
I think it's Jet. I think it's Jet, right? Yeah, Jet sounded like he was on a work call. Anyway, yeah. So, not coach, Chef Vic, wonderful guy. Vic, thank you so much for joining, mate. I've been wanting to get onto this live stream for ages. Thank you so much for the support. But if anybody is looking for top quality meal in Eastwood, go and check Vic out at the Richmond Hotel. He's a genius with food. His pizzas, I swear to God, you would kill people for his pizzas. He's that good.
I'll take you up on that.
Seriously, man. Well, we'll do that, right? We'll do that. We'll take Veets there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So, Damin's come in with BTS Butter. Dynamite was a refreshing and daring, but Butter was too repetitive. Love the legit K-pop songs, and they should return to it. Ooh.
Danmig he's my friend. He's my K-pop obsessed friend. So shout out Danmig.
Danming, exactly. And look, he's clearly
he's very passionate about this shit, man. He's probably gonna. I'm expecting a lot more comments from him today.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll see when it goes. Damien, can you do me a favor? Can you drop a message to us in terms of whether or not you went to the BTS pop-up store in Mega Mall?
In Mega Mall.
Yeah.
There's a long queue.
It was a huge queue, right?
Yeah.
I bought the BTS meal on the first day, so don't judge me. I even had a reservation, so I really want to try the sauce. So
the sauces are good, though.
It is good.
That
makes like the biggest BTS fan I know. So
anyway, we're going down a different path. So look, Vic has said beers on me. We'll keep you to that, Vic. Thanks, man. Damming's come back with no, but maybe if we didn't have COVID. All right, fair enough, mate. All right, second trip around the merry-go-round. Where should we go first? Cricks. Second pop. Who you bringing down?
Okay. The one that I have on list that will be the Strokes. So I've been listening to I love the Strokes because it was the era when a lot of bands started to have the on their themes, like the Hives, the Strokes, the something like that. So the Room on Fire wasn't really good for me. Although they have Reptilia on the lineup, I did enjoyed Reptilia because of the Guitar Hero songs, or you want to play it there. So when they released Is This It in 2001, it really gave them a name on the industry. So Julian Casablancas, if you know about him, he's the son of this guy named, his father created this modeling industry or modeling agency called the Casablancas. So he was really a rich kid, but when they released Is This It, they did revive the garage sound that a lot of the music scene didn't kind of miss that, because 2000 was the year of experimentation when they tried to revamp Kylie Minogue sound. They did have this sound, this distinct mash-up sounds that they had. So when they released it was iconic. But when they released Room on Fire, it wasn't that good. But well, it was just okay. Reptilia is good, but some of their releases didn't really match up with the other or with the first album that they have released, because when they released Undercover of Darkness, it was good, but it didn't have the same hype that the Strokes that had before. And the Strokes became famous because they started dating a lot of famous chicks like Fabricia Moretti, dated Drew Barrymore, and and also dated Kristen from the Wonder Woman. So yeah, really just bland for me. So yeah, the Strokes.
Chris, I've got to be honest with you. I'm really impressed in a good way about your choices here. I was worried that we were going to get. I cried when Justin left Backstreet Boys.
No, well, I did have this playlist. It was really mixed. I was about to put some Wu-Tang Clan and then some 50 Cent because Wu-Tang Clan really had this good discography, and also Dr. Dre, but I wasn't really focused on that genre, so I might as well go to the rock genre because I grew up in that genre, and also emo bands. So might discuss about emo later. So yeah.
Cool. Lovely. Perfect. Thanks, Crix. Leandro, let's come to you next, mate. Who you taking down next?
I'm gonna have to take down, and because Crix mentioned she liked emo punk bands.
Oh.
Everything After Infinity on High by Fall Out Boy.
No. Oh yeah. I have to agree on that. Yeah.
Everything After Infinity on High was shit.
It was.
Like, straight up garbage. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even Folia Do, which I think
wasn't good.
There's some gems there. What a Catch Donnie is one of my favorite songs from Fall Out Boy. But everything else, it just doesn't hold a candle to the first few albums by Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. I think it's a case of them growing up also. Like if you noticed in their last few albums, the latest ones, I think they veered away from the pop punk image. I think they dabbled a lot into like a little bit of techno and electro, a bit. So it turned me off of Fall Out Boy completely, especially that last album. I think was it Mania?
Mania.
Yeah.
But Take This Through the Grave was the best album that I've been listening to Fall Out Boy because that's the first one and it was good. I don't know. Has the angst
that one
it.
was straight up punk. That was straight up punk. I think by the time From Under the Cork Tree hit, there's a lot of it was already pop punk by then, I think.
Yeah.
And Infinity and High was like the peak of Fall Out Boy in my opinion.
Yeah, it was 2007.
Yeah.
Jet was laughing. Yeah. Sorry, Jet.
I'm laughing. That's fine. I was laughing at Bonner's comment.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that happening.
I can see that. Yeah.
I love Bonner, honestly.
They want me to have someone edit your face into something. Well, I'm looking forward to your birthday.
No, but thanks, Chris. Perfect. Wonderful. Bonner, thank you so much for your comment, mate. The fact that we've got somebody of your caliber tuning in and you've been a guest on the show before, mate, honestly, it blows my mind. So thank you so much for showing your continued love and support for us. Or he may just tune in because he thinks we're dicks and wants a good laugh, right? So you never know. Okay. Leandro, anything else from what you were saying before, mate, or should we go to Jack?
No, I think we can move on. Just that Fall Out Boy post 2007 shit. That's good. I'll say that's about it.
Agreed. Right, Jet. Honestly, mate, I think there's a bit of a divide here in terms of ages, right?
Yeah.
Leandro and Crix are talking about albums that came out when you and me were working together, mate, and they were in high school, right?
And
I think it's
what I'm going to mention next is not far off the time that we're probably in school.
Well, I don't know. I might not be credible enough to talk about albums from before I was born. So I guess that's why I'm sticking to.
You might say rubbing it in now, huh?
You might say then, this guy's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about because he wasn't born at the time. So.
It's not about when you were born, mate. It's how they speak.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Jet? We missed a trick. We should have got Epi on here. At least we've got somebody else from our era. Anyway, go for it, mate.
Uh-huh. My second band is I love this band so much, especially their album, the first album, Screamadelica.
It was superb.
It was a marriage of rock and acid house. They made it seamless. Primal Scream came, Screamadelica, and then when the second album came out, it was like a, how would I put it, a cover band of Rolling Stones. So it was like a letdown. I don't know because they were very much into UK or Brit politics. That there's at that time Margaret Thatcher died, and they were a big fan of Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady. I don't know if that they got affected by it, but definitely the second album was like a cover band of Rolling Stones instead of taking away, and they created an entirely new genre of rock and acid house merge into one, and a lot of people, including myself, I remember I was riding the metro listening to them, and Screamadelica. Uh, I didn't care if I get bumped. I didn't care if I was people were in my face already because it was so packed that I was just listening to them. And then when I listened to the second album, so like I I I was just so disappointed. So there, Primal Scream Screamadelic as the
Primal
album. I really like the second album. I can't even remember the name. I think it's Give Out But Don't Give It.
Yes.
Give Out But Don't Give In. There you go.
Was it give out or don't give up or something like that? But I think you're right, mate.
Something like that. Yeah, I can't even remember because
yeah.
that's
I agree.
how bad it was.
I was a huge Primal Scream fan when they first exploded onto the scene. Bobby Gillespie at the time was a genius, but But for some reason, I don't know if it was the Margaret Thatcher death, because Bobby Gillespie and Primal Scream are Scottish, and the Scots don't necessarily have a lot of love for Margaret Thatcher, or had a lot of love for Margaret Thatcher, but maybe they were just trying to try something different. But the experiment didn't work, right? It just didn't work. So, yeah, I agree, mate. My friend Chef Vic thinks that in the 80s or 90s, as I was growing up, before 80% of our audience members were born, he thinks that I was a bird with long hair. Thanks, Vic. Love you deeply, my friend. And by bird, which may not be woke language, he means a female of the species. All right, that's what it means. Okay, Crix, another one of your fandoms come here. Marv says, Pearl Jam's, how do you pronounce that? Vitology? Is that right?
Vitology.
Vitology.
Just Vitology. It also came about with the change of their drummer. The first drummer got fired by Eddie Vedder and brought in his college friend to play for. So there was a huge change in the sound, and Marbs is correct that Eddie Vedder wrote majority of the songs in that album. It was more like a personal album, really, of Eddie Vedder.
That's a shame. That's a shame, because I was, Pearl Jam really set some really good standards, weren't they? Anyway, okay, moving on. Okay, I'll go next. And Leandro, this is what we spoke about on Saturday night, right?
I know where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I was gonna answer the same thing if you weren't going to. But
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you mind if I take this, mate?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Okay. I am a huge Oasis fan. I really love them as a band. I loved what they stood for. And for me, they just hit me right in terms of where I was in my life, right? And Crix, Leandro, you guys weren't even born. But anyway, What's the Story, Morning Glory, definitely maybe two of my all-time favorite albums. I remember where I was when they released Be Here Now. I used to work at a newspaper in North Wales, where I'm from. It's called the North Wales Weekly News, right? You guys will have never heard of it. It's not a big newspaper at all. It came out on a Thursday, and I drove my little Volkswagen Polo from the North Wales paper offices to my local Tesco's, which is a supermarket, and bought the CD, and then listened to the CD in my car on the way back to the office, and then when I got home at night. I have to say, it is one of the major disappointments of my life in terms of bodies of work, right? When you listen to Definitely Maybe and you listen to What's the Story, Morning Glory, the tracks on there mean something from 1 to 10, 1 to 15. Be Here Now, it's got some excellent tracks, but in terms of consistency throughout, for me, it lacked it. And that's when I started to not stop becoming a fan of Oasis, far from it, but not necessarily carry as much enthusiasm or passion that I once had when they released new albums. So, yeah, it really kind of knocked me for six, as you guys can probably tell when I'm talking about it. Leandro, what was your take on Be Here Now? I think you and me came from similar stories, right? We both felt a little bit let down by it.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, it's so much different from what they released with What's the Story, Morning Glory, Definitely Maybe, which is very much, if Definitely Maybe it was very raw, which is what Oasis really stood for when they first began. What's the Story was a little bit more polished, but of course it still retained that heart and that soul that made them famous in the first place. But Be Here Now, when you listen to it, and I mentioned this in our episode, in our conversation last Saturday, it sounded way too manufactured. There's so much guitars going on. They layered it, layer upon layer of guitars. It's just really heavy. That it just decreased the level of heart, in my opinion, that Oasis had with the first two albums.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Jack, you were talking before that you're an Oasis fan. Did you got any thoughts on Be Here Now?
I didn't like it.
As simple as
I
that.
didn't like it. That's simple as that.
The story for most, yeah.
I did like it. It was one of the letdowns that they've set their own standard really high, and then all of a sudden, they poured out such a body of work. And then the good thing about that is I was also listening to Blur at the time. So Blur was dishing out some good album. There's a good album that they dished out, so it compensated for it. So it didn't affect me that much, like the way that Primal Scream affected me, the second album from Primal Scream. But definitely I did like it, that particular album of Oasis.
Do you know how when you listen to music or listen to albums, for example, there's always that one track that sets itself apart, but usually it's in a very positive light, right? In Be Here Now, there's a song that stands out, but for the most negative reason, in my opinion. It's like one of the crappiest songs that Oasis have ever released. I really hate Magic Pie off of Be Here Now.
Oh, yeah.
Horrible song.
No.
It's a filler, no?
It just sucks, man. It's just filler. It makes zero sense. And this is coming from an Oasis fan that acknowledges that a lot of their songs don't make any sense. Magic Pie just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, even as
That's a 7-minute track, right?
Yeah, it's pretty long. It's unnecessarily long, which is like the story for most of the songs off of Be Here Now.
I don't know if you guys can see me on my screen, but I have physically become depressed talking about this. It's really knocked me for six. I'd forgotten about Magic Pie, man. Oh, anyway.
It sucks.
Yeah, you're right. It sucks. So Bonner's come back with this wonderful quote. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's an episode on Netflix show called This Is Pop. Talks about the rivalry of Oasis and Blur. Bonner, I'm going to check that out, mate. I didn't realize that was on.
I think
there.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I think it's about Britpop in general.
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay,
there's
cool.
already a documentary before about Blur and Oasis, their rivalries. I've seen that. I don't know if it's the same.
We were chatting about this on Saturday, Leandro and I, about how when I was living in the UK, that the lot of this rivalry was manufactured, right? It wasn't as deep rooted as a lot of people thought. But from an outsider looking in, it probably seemed a lot more impactful than it was in terms of it was a marketing ploy ultimately. Blur were from the south; they had money. That was the premise, right? And Oasis came from the north, raw, always from the wrong side of the town, always from the wrong side of the tracks, right? Cool. Okay.
And plus, they're university graduates, Blur. They're
Yeah,
university
exactly.
graduates.
Yeah, they are. Okay. I think we've got time for one more round, but we're getting some comments here. Marv's has come in with, when you ask Noel about his songs, he'll say, I don't know the meanings either. Yep, he probably will, mate. He probably will. And also, when he wrote, well, what's the Sally? So Sally Can Wait. He never knew. Yeah, Don't Look Back in Anger. Right? He never
Don't
met
look back in
anybody
anger,
called.
yeah.
He'd never met anybody called Sally. So there you go.
That's the story for most of his songs, but
Exactly.
I mean they're great songs anyway. But so
Yeah, they were hiding.
And
also
Chef Nick's come in, ask about Oasis and me. We will get you both guys on the show over the course of the next couple of weeks, so we can talk about Oasis in a lot more detail. Okay, last round. Leandro, as I guess, mate, why don't you kick us off? Have you got anybody else, any other songs, albums, bands you want to knock down? Go for it.
Well, since we were talking about Oasis, I might as well. So, one of the most disappointing releases I've experienced as someone who is much younger than you guys
In your face.
is it's gotta be BDI, the debut album. Actually, both albums by BDI sucked. And I think it's just a testament to how Oasis worked in the first place. Because if you look at the body of work of Oasis, a lot of what made it work for them, their success in both the UK and the US, and even here in the Philippines, I guess, is that dynamic between Liam and Noel. So when you take out one of them, it just doesn't hit the same way. So even if, because I think this band came out a few years, like a year or two after the Oasis split in 2009, I think. And it's literally Oasis minus Noel Gallagher. So you'd think that, it's just one member, that disappeared. I'm sure the output should be the same. It's not. It's definitely not. The music of BDI, it straight up sucks. I mean, I keep saying this throughout the episode, but there's nothing memorable about BDI whatsoever. But if you go to, Liam Gallagher's current solo output, there's a lot of great stuff there. But BDI it just was very disappointing to me.
Leandro, you bang on. I could never get into BDI, but I did listen to the new stuff that Liam's brought out, and I really like that. Richard Inslee, my God, I've not heard from this guy for years. He's saying, listen to BD now. I hate the album at first, but when I listen to them, they're actually quite good. Thanks, mate. We'll take you up on that. Great to hear from you, pal. Hope you're well. Cool. Thanks, Leandro. Correct.
Yeah, last one. I must say Sugar Babes. Just kidding. Sugar Babes and Spice
Oh
Girls.
my God, I was gonna kick you off.
Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Because I know you're gonna shit on it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the American side of the music industry, because that's where I really focused my listening hours on. So I'm gonna go with Weezer. So that's going to be the second album, Pinkerton. So
I was gonna say that too.
yeah, because I do grow up in the first album. I think it was prepackaged on Windows 95. Buddy Holly, I did said that it was one of my favorite music videos of all time. So when they released Pinkerton, you will be disappointed with the lyrics, because it talks about River Cuomo's pain, and also his, well, he was kind of bewildered of being a pop star or rock star by that time. So when they released that, it was really shit on by the critics, and the lyrics are not appropriate, because when they released the self-titled album called the Blue Album, well, they have Undone, Sweater Song, and then Body Holly. It was really clean, good fun, tortoise shell glasses. You are seeing Rivers as this intelligent young man, but when they released Pinkerton, they had some lines there which are not appropriate. Like I forgot the title of the track, but he was speaking, or he was thinking, or talking, or somehow talking to a Japanese girl, thinking or being obsessed with her. So I think when Weezer really tried to move on from that era, Rivers Como went into celibacy, and then he released some songs like or I think albums like Maladroid, but it didn't pan out like the first album, like the Blue album. So I did try to listen to Make Believe in 2005 because they had this music video for Perfect Situation with the girl from 24 and the girl next door. I forgot her name. Alicia Cuthbert. She was there, and I did try to listen to it, but it wasn't really that good like the first one. But when they released the Teal album, when they had these records or these covers like "Take on Me," "Africa," it was one of their highest songs that they had picked to prior or well after the Blue album. So Weezer for me really somehow redeemed themselves on the covers type or the nostalgia type, but they didn't have the magic anymore. Yeah, magic, magic, magic. Yeah, I think Reavers Como had that collaboration with B.O.B. right, magic. So sadly, but I did. I still love Weezer like Islands in the Sun, but kind of sad that they had this career revival songs on their Africa and also their Take on Me. But I hope they will have this magic again. Yeah, I love the word magic right now. Don't know why. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Chris. You're a bit into magic at the moment, right? I picked that
Yeah.
up. Okay, last but by no means least, Jack, mate, who are you going to knock down?
Since the theme of this live cast is about generations,
Go on.
you're going to need a time machine to listen to this album. It's Tracy Chapman's Crossroads. I'm not saying it's a bad album. It was still honest. It's still very much true to it, true to what she was, true who she was. But the first album was the self-titled album was really a very big.
Seems like he disappeared.
Where
Have we
are
lost
you,
him?
Jess?
Did he drop?
Where are you? Yeah, I think.
Maybe he got summoned to go to work or something, right? Using Skyven or something. Let's give him a couple of minutes. Let's give him a couple of minutes to. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Yes, it's back.
There you go.
Yes, he's
So
back.
yeah, I was taken. I was taken by time. Again, going back because it's still heartfelt, it's still honest. You had to have you need several times to listen to it, several listens to it before it really sinks in. It's more of a protest album than the other one, which is very much personal. And the first album, a lot of people really resonated with her, identified with her and their struggles. That's why it was such a huge uh, success. And then the second album was more like of a protest, so it really alienated a lot of the fans. So there, but it's still a great album.
Do you think though, Jack? No, I agree. It is a good album, but do you think that Tracy Chapman was not limited? It's wrong to say limited, but after the release of Fast Car, she's always going to struggle to reach those heights with future
because she
work,
got rich.
Right?
Yeah, because she got rich. I mean, the same struggles that she was experiencing, she's not experiencing it anymore. You know,
that's true.
So that's why she took on a different fight. That's why the second album was more of a protest than a personal cause.
I like how you've broken that down, that Jet. And for a split second there, mate, you did sound kind of mature, and kind of intelligent. You scared me a little bit. You scared me a little bit, mate. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for a wonderful, wonderful show. Before we draw it to an end, what I'd like to do is, Leandro, why don't you share with our audience a little bit about your podcast, where they can find it, how they can listen to it, the platforms that you broadcast on, and a little bit about what your podcast is all about, mate. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so everyone who's watching, check out Unli-Pop on. Well, we're on most major podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or if you're like, I don't know, if you're super indie and you're on Spreaker or something, it's there too. So my podcast, again, like I mentioned, excuse me, it's a pop culture centric podcast where we talk about big picture pop culture. So you know how there are podcasts that talk about specific movies or shows at a time, or like music. Our podcast, we try to take a look at the big picture when it comes to the different topics that we have. So um, the next episode that I'll be releasing, it drops on Friday. It's the one with Paul, where we talked about Oasis. So
Lovely.
tune in for that one.
Mate, thank you so much for the invite to come on. It was a wonderful experience, and I really enjoyed it. And the stuff that you and Vito are putting out is second to none, mate. Really, really, crack on with what you're doing. That you've got something there. Well done. Crix, any last words for our audience?
Nothing, but I do recommend you guys to listen to some of our recommendations and also for the, well, music that we shit onto right now, because it might give you some perspective on the band's history. Because when Pinkerton, I did say that when Weezer released Pinkerton, they did inspired a lot of emo bands to come out, like American Football and also some of the for Jawbreaker. If you're gonna listen to that, so yeah, if you wanted to had a perspective on a band, I do know that they have their gems, but if you are a true fan, so you can have that perspective, and also you can have the realization that it's not that bad, and also you kind of mature from that genre. So yeah.
You're right, Chris. What I'm going to do, because of what Leandro was talking about BDI, and then the comment that we had from my mate Richard Inslee, I'm going to go back and listen to BDI. It might be worth a second listen, to be honest with you. Well, not a second listen, but a more recent listen. Jet, mate, any comments? Anything you'd like to say? We're not talking
to the
about
audience
Arsenal,
members.
mate, so.
No, we're not going to talk about Arsenal. If you want to get depressed, let's talk about
Who's
it.
an Arsenal fan here?
I am.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm a City.
Yeah.
City.
Oh, you're City.
Oh, he's a City fan. There you go.
It's okay. There you go.
That's how obsessed I am with Oasis.
Yes,
I adopted their favorite team.
It makes sense.
So, for our audience members who hasn't listened to Primal Scream, do listen to them.
Yes.
Screamadelica's the album. I highly suggest. It's a great listen. And
That's great. That's
yeah,
a great shout, mate.
Yeah, don't bother listening to the second album. You're gonna get depressed. All right, but definitely this album Screamadelica changed and influenced a lot of different bands. It is one of the most referenced albums ever that came out. So there.
Thank you, mate. Marv's has come in with Try Tool, guys. And I don't know if he's calling us a tool or whether it's a band. I think it's a band.
It's a band.
It's a band. Yeah, it's a band.
Right? It's a band.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a band.
So we'll take that. Thanks, Marv's. Appreciate that recommendation. Leandro, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's been an
Thanks for having me, guys.
Pleasure to have you. And you've got you and Beats. You've got an open invitation. Anytime you want to come in, 6 p.m. Wednesday. We're always here, so feel free to join us. Sure. We talk as very similar to what you guys talk about on your podcast, right? We talk about pop culture, probably a little bit more niched with kind of our love for Geekish Khan stuff, which is nerdy stuff and geeky stuff. But then we also do like to foray a little bit, as you've seen today, into the world of music. So really appreciate your support today. Okay, I'm going to recommend a topic for our show next week, Crix and Jet. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. I've fallen quite heavily into the Arrowverse, and I'm a little bit disappointed in myself, to be honest with you. I can't bring myself to look at myself in the mirror anymore. Do you ever get those times when you catch yourself laughing at something you shouldn't laugh at, and you feel that that one side of you who may have had his foot in the cool camp at one point in your life just looks at it with like kind of with a disappointed look. That side is coming out more and more recently since I've started to watch the Arrowverse. So I actually don't know now whether or not we should talk about the Arrowverse because you've both gone, no, Paul, it's crap. So I'll tell you what, the Neil Gaiman's releasing Sandman, isn't he? The second part of Sandman. I know we've done it before, but why don't we go back and talk about Sandman in general, but maybe Neil Gaiman's books and what they've meant to us, and maybe we can spend 30 minutes next week talking about that. What do you think, guys? Or is there something else you want to talk about?
I'm suggesting, because next week, 18th of September, it's going to be Batman Day. That falls on a Saturday, so I think we should discuss Batman on us Wednesday.
Could go Batman.
And
I'll tell you what. Wait. Then hang on. Wait there. You guys can see me on my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, right. Wait there. Then hang on.
Jet, remember the shirt?
Yep, of course. Oh yeah.
Love it. Still old, but still good. So we can
There's
go
a
Batman.
comic book that goes with it.
Yeah, I left it on my other house.
Can you guys see this?
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So why don't we do the unopened? You can see it's still in pristine condition. Let's do Batman then next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Leandro, feel free to join us, mate. Get Veets on if you want, and we'll give this book away. Maybe
Nice.
Jet, if you can think between now and then of a question that we want our audience to answer, and then
Sure,
we can do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna buy Arkham Asylum right now on Steam.
And I think Bonner wants to join.
Perfect. Let's get Bonner on.
Nice.
Let's get anybody who wants to join us on the live stream. Feel free. So next week, Batman. Wow.
Nice. Batman.
This is one of my childhood dreams coming true, to discuss Batman live on air and not be looked at like I'm a D1.
Arrowverse
right?
isn't that good. Sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. I know. And I feel quite dirty the fact that I'm going to turn it on after here, and I don't want to. I really don't want to. All right. Thank you so much. Loved all the comments today, guys. Bonner, Marvs, Richard Inslee, everybody.
Angus.
DM,
Angus.
The Cricks fan base, and Leandro. We had Veets in there as well, and Jet DM was messaging too. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week when we're going to give away the Joker War Saga book, and we're going to talk about Batman, all things Batman and Gotham related. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful.
Thanks, guys.
day.
Thanks so much.
Leandro, thank you so much. Yeah, take care, guys. We'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.